Thanks for joining us here today on the Family Imprint Show. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to a close friend of mine and a fellow colleague, Lisa Meikle, who runs a holistic spa in beautiful Nanaimo, BC. She's run her own business for 21 years, and today we're going to talk about all the things that work in her business and her family life, a little bit of a celebration show today. So thanks for joining us today, Lisa.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. I was sharing with you before when we were talking about the idea of this show that a lot of what we talk about here on the Family Imprint are challenges that clients bring, questions they'd like to have resolved when love isn't flowing well in the family. And so I thought, since we were coming up towards Mother's Day, that it might be a great show topic to highlight when it really works, that love and connection between mother and daughter and family. And I know you have a close relationship with your mom. Of course, it's not perfect. None of these relationships are. But you also have a close and connected relationship with your daughter. And I wanted to ask you for some insights about what works to keep love really healthy and flowing well inside your family.
Self-acceptance in myself first, but really accepting another. And I think that, just accepting who a person is and being with that person and getting out of the way of wanting the other to be a certain way. I think that has probably caused me a lot of pain in the past. And it's been like a lifetime of doing my own inner work and doing my own self-love and deep self-acceptance, and then really bringing that forward in my relationship with my family. With my daughter, I think we really get each other. And, we've had our ups and downs. I mean, she's turning 30 in May, and, we went through the teen years and all of that. But what I felt, our relationship, to me, connection has always been important. And so, what I've learned very young was to be right, you don't always win. And so to me, it was more important to have the relationship than to be right. And that has helped me throughout the years when we've come against each other, which has been many times. And I think just with her own maturity and me maturing and evolving, we just really get each other, and we know where to give each other space. And we respect each other's boundaries. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, is the boundaries. And learning how to establish them yourself. So I think as I became better at establishing my boundaries and learning how to speak my truth in a loving way, that made a shift in how my relationship was with her and others. But also with her, I think because I was always working on that, I noticed that she would also speak that way when we hit against each other and maybe not speak nicely to each other. She'd always come back as a teen and say, I didn't mean to be that way. I'm mad over other things, and you happen to walk by. So it's not about you. And I remember it being like, wow, and she said she got that because for a while there, I'd walk up the stairs and I'd look really serious, and she thought I was mad at her as a teen. And she said, I feel like you're always mad at me. And I'm like, why? She goes, because the look on your face. And I said, you know what? It's nothing to do with you. I said, I'm actually thinking about the bills or the list of things I have to do next. And I said, I'm sorry, it's not at all. And I guess I look really serious when I walk. And she's like, oh. Okay. So that was like an aha for her, that just because I showed up some way, it may not be about her. And that shifted her, and it also opened her to speak up when she was a certain way. And so I think we've always had really good communication, and, just being really present to each other. And
I love that openness that you talk about, because I think so many times in family, we see that look and we make up what it means in our own mind, but we don't check in with the other person. And so it sounds like you had that open flow so that misunderstandings didn't take hold and create a lot of division or upset.
Well, we had a lot of upheavals over the teen years, we did. We had a ton. And then it wasn't until over time things shifted more. But to me, that connection was always important. And, even if we were mad over here over a subject, we always found a way to play. Like we always got excited about cooking. So I could be mad over, she wants to go out and this and that and do what she wants, but then we'd be getting excited about cooking a meal together. And so we found that we could be mad, but our heart could be open over here. So we didn't take our closed heart to everything in our relationship. So that was something we kind of just evolved into, that it was okay to be upset and not agree, but we could enjoy each other over here. Wow. So that was always helpful. I think it just kind of happened, when we like, this really works, and even now, like as an adult, like she will be honest and say, I just can't come and visit on the ferry with you. I'm just too exhausted. I feel stressed. And I accept that. We don't get mad. So we're really honest. Like, this isn't working. I know we said we wanted to do this, but now I'm just feeling stressed. And, I think that we're both highly sensitive individuals. Mm-hmm. And so we speak what our truth is, even if it's not maybe what the person wants to hear. But we know it's not about them. It's about how we're feeling individually.
I love
that really helps.
I was just sort of interrupt, but you're not falling into those expectations. It's like, I know we said that it's not going to work. And again, it can be open communication.
Yeah. And we check in. You always check in. I know you said you wanted this, but is this still what you want? I'm feeling that you're a little bit stressed or upset. And she'll say, oh, no, it's just I'm stressed about something else. But no, I'm still. So I think we do like a check-in, with each other. It's just automatic.
Yeah.
Because we read each other's faces. Like, you don't look happy. What's up?
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, out of curiosity, when things got really intense around those teen years, and kind of any mother-daughter in that stage can relate, were you able to maybe lean into your mom for some support or ask her advice at all? Or where did that come into play?
Well, to be like my relationship with my mom, she's always was a real there for me because I was a single mom. Like, she'd pick up my daughter and take her to sports if I couldn't. She'd have her for dinner when I worked nights. She was just really that helpful grandmother that was there to support the raising of my daughter. So I found that I would get her to help and support in more things that would alleviate stress, like helping, pick her up or have her for dinner, like I said, or if she was sick, make soup, you know what I mean? And I just think as parents, we have to be compassionate that there's no real book, and you can always go back and say, I'm really sorry. That was really not a nice experience. And how can we do it differently? And as a parent, you have to be the big person. Yeah. And even as much as your heels dig in, like I used to think, God, she's so stubborn. And I feel like I gave in too much, and then I put my heels in, and then, but I also learned to pick my fights. Like, certain things, I realized my daughter was very much about autonomy, and most teenagers are. They're trying to figure out, how do I be me and not be attached to you? I love you and I need you, but I want to be me. So they're always kind of separating. And I found when she felt too enmeshed, she would like cut the cord. And that's when maybe she'd react, just be a certain way, just to kind of separate. Like, I'm me and you're you.
That's it. And
I think that I
touched on such an important thing, Lisa, around the natural part of development that our teens want to individuate. And it's a healthy movement, however, painful it might be. But I love that resting place, or that connection place that you spoke about earlier. Okay, we can cook together. We can find that, way to get along despite what we might have just argued about yesterday. So it's a place to always come home to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, also teenagers, they I remember, like, I'm a connector and harmonizer, the book, The 5 Languages of Love.
Yes.
And, I like that one-on-one connection, quality time. And so, I worked a lot of hours being self-employed, but dinner time was gold to me. And at certain points, she started running out with her friends and her boyfriend. And dinner went from like an hour to half an hour to 15 minutes. And I was really sad, but I didn't speak up. And I was kind of like grouchy. And my daughter picked up on it. She's like, what's bothering you? And I'm like, well, she's like, no, something's bugging you. I feel it. And so I said, it really bothers me that dinner's gone from an hour to 15 minutes. And I said, I really miss that time with you. It's like liquid gold for me. And she's like, well, you just have to speak up. So we sometimes think our teens can't handle, or I felt I was afraid to speak up if I said, I want you to stay. And she was like, well, I don't want to hang out with you. Because, they kind of like, you're not so exciting. They're excited to go off with their friends.
Right.
So a little bit of my inner self was like, I just don't want to be rejected. And so another sign of someone who likes connection, when you don't get it, you'll sometimes fight with someone to have some kind of connection. So that was an awareness. I realized that I was kind of creating a disconnect so that we kind of fight to get some kind of connection. And then her asking me questions made me realize that, wow, I'm actually creating disharmony, and I just need to be truthful. And I was afraid. So after that, it was like, oh my God, here are my teens teaching me. And that's the thing, is we're always learning as much as we're the adults, that our teens, our children have lots to teach us at any age if we're open.
Yeah, so, that openness, it helps so much.
It does. And so then she said, fine, Mom. And so she would have friends come and she'd say, I'm going to hang out with my mom for half an hour and you guys can take off. And we would have our dinner. And it was like, even if in the summertime she'd be with her friends, she'd come out and, hey, Mom, you got a break? I'll sit with you. And so, her love language was acts of service and words of appreciation. So, I would do nice things for her, like make her favorite little dish or something if she was stressed, food, or, she would clean up the kitchen for me as her way of showing appreciation. So we started to, we talked about stuff like that. So I think that the fact that, I was willing to talk about this stuff and I was always evolving and growing, it opened her to think, and we started to learn about this. And I said, it's important to understand this stuff because, you want to be fueling your relationships with love, whether it's friendships or romantic. You
bring up such an important part about, I think many people just think to read the love languages book based on their couple, their couple relationship, but how important it is to know our very own children's love language so that we don't miss the mark in, what's important to me may not be the same thing that's important to your child, around that deep connectedness.
Totally. I think reading that book when she was a teen and talking about it really helped.
And so I also understand that the 3 generations of your mom, you, and your daughter have something really big to celebrate in your family. And I wondered if you'd share with the listeners a bit about that.
Sure. It's very exciting because my daughter just gave birth to 2 identical girl twins, and their names are Anouk Elizabeth and Nora Leslie. And it was really beautiful that my son-in-law Tom and my daughter Justine, that they wanted to honor the grandmas and have the middle names with our names. So Tom's mom is Leslie and my name is Elizabeth. So it was just really sweet. And to have, it's really beautiful because we've been a series of only girls, and my daughter's broken the mold. Now we have 2 girls. She's got two children, and it's just excited to share this with my mom. I mean, my mom and I are really close. We've had our ups and downs too. She's been a very dominant personality, and I've been more passive. And it's been a journey of learning to establish boundaries and vulnerability and acceptance of each other. I would say that now has been probably the nicest time in the last couple of years with my mom and I, just going more deep in our acceptance of each other and softening with each other. And I see a softening with my mom and a softening with myself. So to share this with her, and we were there for the birth, we were there to be present for the birth of the babies. And so it was very special for my mom to witness that and to have 4 generations. So, it's exciting. I'm excited to be a Nona.
Yeah, and this beautiful connection between mother and daughter love can now move into this 4th generation. It's absolutely heartwarming.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
From all of that you've shared, Lisa, how much of, I guess, what you've learned about yourself and all that you illustrated and what you've shared went into that 4 pillars of soul care? I understand you're going to be the keynote speaker, and all about nourishing others and your clients, not only from the spa services, but also at the soul level. How much of that, really the content of what you're going to share in your keynote, came from what you learned in that family love that you've shared with us here today?
Oh, thank you. You just gave me little tingles in my body. Yeah, I think that, the four pillars is really about the soul. Four pillars of the soul care is really about honoring the self, and that when we go to that deeper relationship with ourself, and I feel like, you know, I struggled with such low self-esteem in my 20s, and doing the inner work of loving myself, accepting myself, and bringing that into raising my daughter. I mean, and having her witness that and weave that into herself. I feel that, the four pillars of soul care is really about understanding your soul, really wanting to be self-aware so that you can move in your world more conscious. And when we're more conscious, then we're making choices that are more in alignment, rather than just doing life and being reactive to life. So, I feel the four pillars is about really being connected to self, connecting to your inner wisdom, and making choices that are in alignment with your inner truth. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, and if we can bring that into our parenting, into our relationships, into our world, how
Totally.
amazing is that?
Yes. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think that was, when my daughter was a baby girl, and I was a single mom, and she was like 18 months. And I remember holding her and thinking, I want her to be strong, and I want her to be confident and authentic. And I thought, I can't teach that if I don't have it. So it
Mm.
was like a big aha moment that it was what basically catalyst for me to step up and start doing the inner journey of self-love, because I want her to live a life of loving herself and, you know, um, bringing her very best version forward and living authentically and in her joy,
I
and
love that sentiment, Lisa. The more work we do on ourselves, the more free we let our children be. They're not having to
totally,
carry what's unresolved in us, or if we don't, let's say in that example, enhance our confidence, we just then
yes,
pass on, where we couldn't really overcome, where we were stuck. So that's so
totally.
incredible.
Thank you. You know what? That is the biggest thing, right? I felt like because I struggled so much inside myself, I really wanted to stop with me. I
Yeah,
did not want to carry what I felt was not serving me at all.
yeah.
Um, and I wanted my daughter to be free. And so I look at her, and she, she doesn't, she has her soul growth. She has her struggles, but like all of us, we're here to grow our souls. We're not but she has no problem putting herself first.
Mm.
Like if it's not in residence for her, she will
Mhm.
not do it. She will not betray herself. And to me, I felt wow, because
Mhm.
I have done all the work that I've done, but I still notice when I betray myself. And to see her at a place where she's so crystal clear,
Mm.
and I just think, wow, thank you. You know,
What a
so
gift you've been able to pass forward. That's exceptional.
yeah, and it's like I think that's what we all want. We all want our children to be the next best version of the next, you know, um, family unit. I can't find the right words right now, but
No, I know what you mean. It's sort of
yeah,
like,
like what you're doing. I mean, you're doing phenomenal work, helping people do, their clearing of the family, of the lineage, you know, because we do carry that.
Mhm.
And, I feel that it's been my devotion the last 25 years due to my pain to be clearing my family lineage, the parts that didn't serve, and to keep the wisdom, but release the pain. Yeah.
Well, and what I really love about the example you've shared here today, Lisa, is you're living proof around when we kind of take responsibility for the pieces we'd like to change within ourselves. The next generation, our children, are a little more free, and now we've got the next generation in your beautiful grand twins that have just been born. So it's neat to see how life goes forward in a really good way.
Totally. Thank you. Yeah. When you say that, I just get tingles in my body. It's it's
It's
precious.
the
It's
magical
precious.
truth. That's it. Oh, well, I just want to thank you once again for taking your time and sharing a little bit about the intimacy and the privacy about your own family relationships. And I think it's great for the listeners to know it can work, it can flow, and we can have this harmonious connection between mothers and daughters. So thanks so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.